of their regular duties in addition to the duties of an estates officer to ensure that our clinics were properly maintained. And Mr. Speaker, I thought they had done an excellent job acting in that capacity. And I'd like to thank them for the job that they've done. Mr. Speaker, I would now like to make a few comments about the Public Hospital Authority. The board and management of Public Hospital Authority are to be commended for continuing to strive for greater fiscal prudence, stewardship accountability, and performance excellence. During the last fiscal period, for the first time since its creation, the Public Hospital Authority did not ask for contingency funding. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, the authority saw a 15% reduction in overtime. We also saw, Mr. Speaker, expenditure reductions in other high-cost areas, such as electricity, gasoline, overseas patients referral, and contracts for medical service. And the reduction, Mr. Speaker, were as a result of special cost-saving initiatives implemented by the management last year in the face of our economic situation in the Bahamas and worldwide. Mr. Speaker, Public Hospital Authority has completed the audited financial statement. These are being brought current. They'll soon be brought and tabled to Parliament after being taken to Cabinet. Mr. Speaker, for the upcoming 2010-2011 fiscal year, the Public Hospital Authority was allocated a recurrent budget of $179,438,738. This represents 80% of the national health budget and 12% of the total national budget. A further $3,586,775 will be provided for capital development projects at the 3 institutions and the corporate headquarter agencies of the Public Hospital Authority. Mr. Speaker, we have done many infrastructural changes within our institutions, but the public is not overly concerned about these changes that we've made in the institution. The public's concern, Mr. Speaker, is what are we going to do about the waiting time that they experience in the emergency room at the Princess Margaret Hospital. Their concern would be the time it takes for them to be admitted to a bed on the ward from our emergency room. And Mr. Speaker, if one were to look and analyze the causes of the delayed time in the emergency room and the delayed time in moving from the emergency room to the ward, one would note that more than 7 years ago, it was suggested, and suggested by the former Minister of Health also, that the space in the emergency room was inadequate, and in fact, the emergency room should be expanded to our GPC, our general practice clinic. This was suggested not necessarily by me, Mr. Speaker, but this was suggested before me. But individuals do not like changes. Individuals are very difficult to change, though they all had agreed that that need to be done. But it was not until about 3 weeks ago when we experienced a catastrophic event in the emergency room that the staff were forced to move to the GPC clinic. And it was then that we all saw how the improvement of the functionality of the institution emergency room. We all saw for the first time the staff morale and patience had improved in that patients were now seen in isolated room, and at the same time, patients were not, at this particular time, laying in chairs or sitting down in chairs while, because emergency room is overcrowded, they were forced to be examined in chairs. No, Mr. Speaker, it was a catastrophic event that caused us to see that what was suggested over 7 years ago was a reality and needed to be done. But what we also know, Mr. Speaker, one of the delays in the emergency room is obtaining the lab information, blood test results. But Princess Margaret Hospital, Durand Memorial Hospital, has completed the implementation of its online lab information system so that one can obtain lab results quite readily online. And this online information system would be completed within our Princess Margaret Hospital and South Beach Clinic September 2010, after which it will be rolled out to other institutions. So this would help to cut back on the delayed waited time, reduce that time. But to support that lab information system, we have also hired an additional 5 phlebotomists who would take blood quite readily to help improve this process. Mr. Speaker, we also recognize that one of the problems with individuals being admitted from the emergency room to the ward is the delayed time individuals waiting for a physician to come and see them so as to approve them to go to the ward. Mr. Speaker, while attending the World Health Conference, there was a particular country who mentioned that they had overcome that problem by having all patients seen in the emergency room by their consultant staff, so that the consultant staff would know exactly what tests to be ordered so as to decrease the time and unnecessary investigations being requested. And not only that, but the consultant staff would be able to deliver by far better situation than that of our junior staff. But what we've done, Mr. Speaker, then what we've done, rather than the individuals waiting in the emergency room to be seen by second on call, we are now moving to a point where the consultant in the emergency room can have direct admission to the ward, thus removing that middleman or that delay there. And that obviously would decrease the time, the movement to the necessary ward. Mr. Speaker, that is what you would refer to as direct admission. Mr. Speaker, I had visited Baptist Hospital the other day, and I was amazed that they have same type of problems that we have here at our Princess Margaret Hospital in terms of emergency room being crowded and patients in trolley. But our rooms being expanded to GPC would relieve the problems of individuals being crowded in the waiting room, but we will still have individuals on trolley. But what was amazing in Baptist Hospital, what was amazing is the communication network. When that patient waited in their emergency room for 4, 6, 8 hours, that patient was regularly informed as to the progress and what was happening. The patient's families were regularly informed as to the progress of their health care. And that patient waiting in the emergency room for 4, 6, 8 hours, there was no problem because they knew exactly what was going on. But when you leave a patient and ignore them and nobody knows, the family don't know, that is when the frustration comes. And Mr. Speaker, we are moving forward to deal with that problem.